I'm making this video primarily because, one, it's a topic I wanted to talk about recently. Two, I've got... Two, sorry. I want more people talking about it. And three, I'm procrastinating on my Bloodborne script, so, villain content, go! Let's talk about Wick, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, to explain Wick, you play as a character, Sam. Sam's forced into the game of Wick by his friends. Stuck out in the middle of the woods from 12 to 6. Dealing with a bunch of dead ghosts. The ghosts of the children of the Weaver family. During which he can potentially find some items. Depending on if he collects all the items or not, there's two different endings. One, where he's rescued before 5 a.m. Well, at 5 a.m. Or two, he ends up dying at 5 a.m. and joins the ghost at 6. Implied by the change in atmosphere between 4 and 5 a.m. Now, let's start off. Between each night, there's a bunch of recordings you get. And afterwards, you can basically look at the collectibles along with other police findings and get information. Right. The main orchestra of this is Duncan. And he doesn't fully know it. Well, no, he does. Sorry, I'm getting off track. Let's get straight to the backstory of this. It all begins with the Weaver family. The father, John, goes off to war in World War II, and when he comes back, it's implied his wife has an affair, leading to the birth of the twins. And I should probably explain all the children. The oldest is Benny, followed by Caleb, the twins, Tim and Tom, or Timus and Tobathy as they are, and yes, that's correct, followed by Lillian after the birth of the twins. Now, it's not exactly clear how John treats the twins. However, Mary is quite abusive towards them, probably influenced by the church beliefs of them being changelings. Children swapped with, in at least relation to Christianity at the time, demons. Though their origins are rooted in spirits trying to live an easy life. Anyway, the reason they're called this is most likely because of a few reasons. One, it seems both twins suffer from, well, Tim seems to suffer from asthma and has a violent streak, while Tom suffers from polio. His brother is also Tim is also very protective of Tom, and as said in the audio clip, he will harm anyone who tries to harm him. Eventually, as time goes on, it seems the mother spread lies, which kind of ripped the family apart, as John put it, and John ends up taking his own life. It seems Mary, driven mad, ends up, well, she sets the house on fire, which is what we know for definitive proof. However, her kids, well, the news clipping says both parents were killed in a fire, which I can only presume someone moved John's body from the woodshed where he committed suicide, to the house where Mary set the house on fire. As for the children, we're not sure what happened to them exactly, though implications are around. I'll get to the kids later. Let's just roll on to eventually the kids disappear, the whole place closed, and the place is rumored to be haunted. Eventually, people leave items out to hope that the kids are still alive, and when they start moving around, the place is shut down, pretty much. But now it becomes a site for the game of Wick. Now, before Sam explores, there's someone else. Travis T. Bubber. Travis T. Bubber Scott, let's go with, because I can't remember the last name. We'll just call him Travis. Travis used to work with a man named Duncan, the aforementioned friend of Sam who kind of pulled him into it. Travis and Duncan were researching Wick together, and as their popularity exploded, Travis cut Duncan out, which led to him being quite mad. This may or may not come up again in the future. I'll get to that. Travis ends up ends up coming across the 5 graves of the children, somewhere hidden seemingly, and ends up finding items. Each grave has 3 items associated with them, with Caleb, I think, being the exception. We'll get to that later. Anyway, each time he picks up an item, he disturbs one of the ghosts, and is guided by a crow to where, I think it's a crow, might be a raven, I don't know. Anyway, he's guided by either a crow or a raven to a location where he feels the item belongs. These items have some significant... I phrased that wrong. The locations he puts these items in have some significance. For example, the honey bunny, Lillian's doll bunny, is put next to the well. Thanks to implications, we'll get to why that's important later. Next, basically, as he picks up these items, the children's ghosts awaken and begin hunting him. Eventually, he puts all the items away, save for one. Again, I'll get back to this near the end shortly. And eventually, the gates open back up to the camp, which he originally entered from. It's an old summer camp that closed down after this whole mess began. Anyway, point is, he goes over to the camp, ends up getting locked in a building after being chased by 4 of the 5 ghosts, and gets hit with the missing shovel, because the shovel, one of Caleb's items, disappears and is used to strike Travis down. After that, he's reported missing, and, well, we never really hear from him again. Though Sam, in order to access the DLC for this, that is the No Way Out chapter, has to basically find 3 items that belong to Travis. His journal, the camera he was recording with, which is now moved from inside the cabin he was locked in to a location outside, right next to the gate, along with, the phone? No, the phone was their head cam. Anyway, from there, we cut. Sam's story occurs. Now, let's get into it. Part of the reason Mary thinks they're changelings is because of a local pastor saying they are. Now, it's up to debate whether there's some theory floating around that he might be the father, but that's not important. The twins. Now let's talk about the kids and how they died. Now, nothing's ever outright stated, only implied. Let's get to it. So, first, we should note that Tom seems to have broken body and some kind of facial injury. Given that recordings imply that Tim and Tom were locked out in the cold, they probably developed hypothermia at some point. And Tom, being a sufferer of polio, has his limbs freeze up, suddenly becoming paralyzed, wearing a brace for his leg to just keep moving. There's an implication he ended up falling off of a bridge and ended up getting injured, which may be why his ghost has broken limbs. As for Tim, well, again, we'll get to all of these. Benny, well, wasn't shown in base game. He had his gore warning. He had his throat slit while he was asleep. Caleb was seemingly buried alive with, according to the wiki, a woman's voice in the background, though I don't know if I agree with this. Anyway, it's the implication that there's a chance that Mary was the one who did it, and or it could also be the twins or the father, though the twins would probably only kill Benny due to a line Old Man Edward said about twins taken night place by demons or something, taken by the devil or something, and coming for him. I don't know. Could be wrong. It's probably in reference to the whole changeling thing with the twins. I don't know. Point is, that happened. Caleb got buried alive, and Lillian, the reason why Honey Bunny is by the well is because she seemingly was trying to lower herself into the well in order to retrieve Honey Bunny, but then slipped and broke and either drowned in the well or broke her head in the fall. The fact that she could see Honey Bunny probably means that the well at the time was low enough that she could at least reach Honey Bunny. I don't know. Who knows? The point is, she either died from head injury or drowning. Each of the items. Oh yeah, I should also think about where to locate it. Sorry, future ponderings. Anyway, it's again unclear exactly who does it. As for the twins, the mother either died in the fire with the mother set, or she asphyxiated them. Well, given that it seems their bodies were hidden in a gravestone off-site, though maybe that's just an astral projection and none that truly exists. Point is, the kids are reported missing, and the mother sets her house on fire. Now, she might have been right about there being a demon involved. I don't think the twins initially were possessed by demons or replaced by them. It seems to me there is some kind of force plaguing Mary, perhaps driving her nuts enough to kill her own kids. Which, why have I talked about children a lot? Anyway, point is, the kid's ghosts come back from the dead. The pastor tries to banish the demon, but gets off by the twins as his chapel burns down. Now, let's cut to, well, Duncan kind of just doing his own thing as we cut to years later. He's drawing people in to play Wick, and despite everything, keeps going. Despite Sam either ending up pretty badly hurt and suffering hypothermia, or B, actually dying, he still keeps going. And an interesting audio clip about the findings I'll get to later. Now, earlier I mentioned during the end of the No Way Out DLC, Travis gets locked in a shed and then gets hit with a shovel. During the time leading up to his being locked in, he's being chased around by 4 of the 5 children, Tim being the only one missing. It's possible Tim is the one who killed him. However, this is using a physical object, and while Tim technically is seen using his whittling knife to attack Travis, technically Travis moved the whittling knife, and it's probably just a ghostly recreation, just like the masks him and Tom are wearing. They're not the real masks, but rather just phantom memories, part of their ghostly aesthetic and that. So it's probably not the actual. But the shovel is being wielded by someone. None of the characters show actually physically handling objects. So that's why I mentioned Duncan being peeved about being cut out. There's a chance that Duncan killed Travis. But how did he get out without being killed himself? Cut to the audio recording of, from the 5 a.m. line. Now, in-game, during Sam's survival, the only part of the recording that plays is that he has no clue what the items in his backpack are. And question, please, isn't it your job to know? However, listening to the full thing, the audio tape crashes, and him, in a distorted voice, or perhaps to himself, says, "You're too late anyways. There's no way out." Seems he knows he's more involved in this than we thought. Which, remember how I mentioned the whole demon thing? Well, who wants to take a guess? I think the demon's possessing Duncan. Duncan ends up possessed by the demon and becomes its newest vessel. Using the opportunity to off Travis, who helps wake up the spirits, which broke the shovel, and then hid the shovel himself. From there, he possessing Duncan, ended up driving police investigations the wrong way, and secretly basically drags kids in to either die or join the ghosts. Specifically, even after turning to ghosts, Sam is still hunted. Turning into a ghost, Sam's still hunted. So there's a chance that the demon, once disposing of his father, of the pastor, ends up becoming himself Duncan, thus luring kids in and unnecessary recap. Anyway, that's my video over Wick, and see you all later. And hope this ties you over till Bloodborne script gets finished.